Well, here's our next engineering debacle. I've got these two locking door handles. There's Mr. Door Handles to the door, and check and make sure my key lock's going to work. A nut on there with a plastic lock nut, a 1-inch pivot here. Here's the two choices I have. I like either one of them, but I gotta decide because the handle has got to go through this. The window is going to go right up and down in here, so I have to either take this handle above the bear claw lock here or below it, and see that above it would be right in this area, so that gives me a mounting point right there in the middle of the thing. And if I take the below it, which would be right in here, it would be in this area. So that's my two choices. Even though this bottom place is the best as far as mounting, as far as what it's going to look like, I think this is probably the best up here on top. Looks weird with it down that low, and up here it don't look too bad. Take a look at the inside and we'll see the problems we got. Mounting problem is, if I take it right through here, I have to take it in the center of this 1-inch piece, and my 1-inch piece doesn't go all the way through. It's welded right here. At the time, I didn't think this was going to be a big deal. I wasn't really thinking about where the door handle was going to go. But I'm going to have to take this, one of these handles here, and it's going to have to go all the way through. That means it'll be sticking out right here in this area. There's no way that I can put a bolt or anything on this, once it comes through like this. So what I'll have to do is turn this piece in a lathe. It'll be coming out through here like this, and thread the end of the square shaft. That way I can, there's a little collar and lock nut on here, but it's kind of hard to hold it in, so I think the best thing would be to bring it all the way out here, thread a nut on it and a washer, lock it, little piece of copper pipe in there, but that gives me a round place, and this has got to come with a little arm out this way. So, if it's up here like this, when I turn it, whichever way it goes, it's going to have to go up. So this is, well, I gave up on trying to figure out a way to do this. I could have got those handles through it and ran them out the back here, but I've got a pretty straight shot right here from there down to the bottom. The window's only going to go down this far, so I think what I'm going to do is just order a set of electric door poppers. I might have to make me some kind of bracket or something in here to pop them open, but if I have a cable running straight down, that's all I need really, just to pop that door open, and I won't have to be trying to bore holes in here and through the door and everything else. That'll be good enough. But what I am going to have to do is somehow put some kind of a internal door handle in it. I'm going to cut me up a piece of cardboard and see what I can do about putting a window in it. I've got to mount some kind of a window regulator in there. I've got a couple kinds over there, so I think that's what I'm going to do, is kind of worry about where the window regulator and the inside door handle is going to go, and the outside I'll just put electric popper in it and not worry about that. Well, I changed my mind again. I decided I'd go ahead and put door locks in here, and I drilled a hole all the way through, and that's the same size as my door handle. So that goes all the way through there. Now what I'm going to have to do is put some kind of a cut here and a plate with a square hole in it that'll move up and down. I've made something here, I'll show you. Cut out a little square piece of cardboard there, and this little plate, the reason it's got an L in it, I want to be able to put a spring on it that'll pull my my door closed, or pull the latch up level, and then I'll have to figure out something in there, just a little wire rod that'll pull this up or push it down. I don't remember which way it goes off in. I'm pretty sure it pulls up. No, it pushes down. So this will push down to open it, which is okay. The handles, it shouldn't take much at all. And then I'll try to put this piece on here. Now this just slides off for the lock, so I got to make something. The little collar goes on here, and I can probably punch this little pin out to lock it, and then I can screw this into the door. We'll see what we got to do on it. Alright, here's my handle. I've got it matching pretty good. There's a little little collar that goes here. I'm going to have to get that little collar into that hole, but looks like that'll be good. And it's coming all the way through on this side. I think what I can do is cut this off, tap it, and put a bolt inside it with a couple little washers and a spacer or something that'll go in there and clamp this little bracket that I'm going to make on here, and that'll keep it from pulling out of the car. And it's locked right now. You can see that it's turning that handle. So the problem is that if I don't have something back here to hold it solid, you can just pull the handle right out. So I've got to have something on there. I thought about putting it in lathe, turning it down, making this round and threading it. But it's a little bit of trouble to do that. I think I'd be better off trying to drill a hole in it and putting a bolt in it that would clamp it all together. I don't have to have this bar inside here. I can put it here on the outside. And here's what I've got of the door. Now you can see this is the door handle. This is all froze up, of course, but this window, it's got way back here. I think I would probably have to mount this window way up here in front, so I get pretty much a straight shot for the regulator. And but that's what I've got for the inside door handle. This all has to go on the outside of the window, so it sits way out here like this. So it looks like I'm going to have to make some kind of a plate in here. I'll probably use a thin metal plate rather than this half-inch piece of wood, and mock my door handle up in here where it would be fairly comfortable to pull, and just put a plate across here on the outside to mount that on. I can still drop my window down in here. I've got a couple of these. I'll show you other ones. Like another window regulator I have. Only got one of these, and it's froze up solid. And I do have this one, which is pretty much a match for the one I've got over there. I've got some a couple more door handles. I'm not sure exactly what I'll do here. What am I gonna use out of this stuff? I'm gonna make up some soda water and put a battery charger on it and see if I can get all this rust off. I soaked the other one with WD-40 really good and pound around on it. I never could get it loose. I can eventually, and that's the window regulator. But that's kind of down the road. I've got a piece of cardboard here that I put in there for a window. And we can see here how much the window will be sitting right in here somewhere. I don't really have a lot of room. Just barely going to clear this door latch. So all of the stuff that's on the outside here is going to have to be pretty flush to the door. It looks like this part of the door, you can see there that it's about a half an inch, and that's, see, I think that's about where this board goes. I don't know if you can see there, but it probably goes just like that. Maybe I will put a board in it. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll make me a bracket and cut me a square hole in it. I'll have to do that with just drilling a hole and taking a file to it. And I'll go ahead and try to mock up this bracket on here. I'm just going to clamp it on there, clamp with vice grips or something on it, see how much force I got to open it. But anyway, it's hardly any pressure at all to open it up. So I'll be able to put a pretty big spring in there to hold it up. That's all I used right there. So it don't take much at all to open this thing, so I don't have to worry about making anything massive. Tubing in it. Oh man, that's just too easy. Boy, you just barely touch it. Probably have to change the geometry on that a little. But this door was always real easy to open. But I think what I need to do is probably drill this hole back here somewhere, and I'll have to make me a spring on it. But it's works good with just a little piece of brake tubing as a thing. Door's good, opens good, closes good. I'll put a bigger spring on it. Anyway, there's that. So now I have to drill a couple holes in here, screw this on, and I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna mount this. I think it would be best to have a big nut on it. So I think what I'll do is take this apart, and I'll have to take this pin out, just holding it together, and make me a sleeve that'll fit around this real good, and then split it, and then I can chuck that up in the lathe, and then I can turn it down to a good round bar, And I'm pretty sure that you know, this will be like a 7/16 nut. I can put 2 on it for a lock nut. That way I can adjust how tight it squishes it together without a lot of trouble. And I think a big nut on the outside would be a lot stronger than one on the inside. So when I'll punch this apart and see if I can set me up a collet here for the lathe. Well, I took this shaft out of the handle. I just knocked that little pin out. And what I'm trying to do is make a round piece that'll hold it. Then I can split it so I can turn this. I tried grinding this down, but it's not very straight. So I'm just running a little boring bar in here. And just open that little piece of copper. That's an old welding tip. I'm just opening it up so it'll barely fit the square here. That way I can make her collet and then slot it so it'll hold it straight. So, take a little while to make that. Well, okay, I got that. I didn't make it very good. Just bored it a little too much. Anyway, I'll take that out, slot it with a hacksaw, and I should be able to clamp that good and tight. Well, that worked pretty good. Until really it was bad where I was trying to grind it. Now I'll just pull my lathe in here. Drop this back a little. Whoa. Okay, well, I'm going to have to clamp it a little tighter and take a smaller bite. Well, I got my machinist handbook out here. This is a 1/4 inch national course under allowances and tolerances. Looks like the major diameter is 0.25, and that's what I've got here, about 2.5. So I just did it on that shoulder there. So this is good enough for the die to go on here. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this whole little shaft down here to 1/4 inch, and that'll be good enough to thread it. Well, I got this done. Door handle works fine. This nut here kind of screwed it up, but I was able to get a nut on there with a plastic lock nut, and it's good enough to work this. And this can be moved horizontally with a door handle up here, so that'll work. And it's opening up good. I'll have to tap this, put a couple screws in it, but I'm going to move on to the other side. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in the middle. This one, because of where I put it into the door, I'm going to have to put the handle right about where that little X is. So it's going to be kind of off center. I really can't do much about that because I've got to drill that square right through there, and I don't have a lot of room in there. So that's pretty much where the door handle is going to have to go. I'm going to drill me a little pilot hole through there and make sure that everything is going to work and not interfere. Alright, I got this bored in. The hole opened up big enough for the handle to go in. And because of where this was at here on this chopped up door frame, I just welded a washer in here to give myself a flat place for the arm. Now that this is in where it's got to go, I can mark out 1/8 of an inch for my arm, and then I can take this whole thing apart here and put it in the lathe and turn it down. This time I'll try to get the threads right. Well, I'm taking very fine cuts, and I've got it, I center drilled it, and I put my live center in there. I'm just taking fine cuts because I don't want to knock it out of that copper collet. It'll take a little more time, but this time I'll get it cut down to the right size. And this one I didn't try to use a grinder on it. I'm just starting with the lathe here, so I should have a much better deal going on. So I'll bring you back when this is getting close to being done. I also bought a brand new die, and this is 5/16 by 18. This is out of my machinist handbook, and major diameter is 0.3125. So that's a minimum. So let's see what we got here. Alright, this is for class 2 threads, which are pretty tight tolerance. And 3, and looks like that's a 15. About 14, 145. So that's just a little bigger than major diameter minimum. So I'm going to try to put this die on here. I should be able to cut myself some pretty good threads. Well, I set this this thing up flush with the face of the chuck, and I'm just using the chuck here to feed it in, and I've got the tailpiece on it, just putting a little pressure on it. I'm just taking my time, using plenty of lube, and it looks like it's cutting real good. I've got it on there 3 or 4 threads at least. I think I'm good enough to pull that out. And a little copper collet, it's not really very strong. So I'm just gonna back this out now. See what I got. It looks like it's doing good. So I think it's going on straight and starting to cut pretty good threads. I might turn this down just a little more. I don't know. I'll clean this up and see if I can get this to thread on there some more. looks like it's putting pretty decent threads on it, so we'll see. Alright, I got that all done. Nut fits on it real good. It's nice and loose. Turned out I was looking at the inside threads, and so I looked at the outside, and they're like 26, 2400, 2443. So I had turned it down just a little bit more, and nut threaded right on. Got good threads. They're not as good as I would like, but they're plenty good for holding what it's going to hold. Now I can go ahead and put this back together with the handle, and we can put it in the car and see what it looks like. Well, that's just about perfect. I got probably 3/16, and I got to have an 1/8 of an inch piece of plate that goes in there, and I'll have a nut that goes on here, and I've got it kind of loose, but I've got a really nice, good flange lock nut, and just go on there and tighten up good. Squish that all together. So I think I'm good here. The other side is holding. It's not as good as this one. I screwed up there by trying to use a little belt sander to make it round. I should have started on the lathe. But anyway, I'll make me a little lever now, and we'll try this one. Well, I got sort of a concoction here. This is a shifter linkage. It's actually a transmission kickdown, but just happened to be about the right length, and I was able to get a bolt in it down here in the bottom, and it's pretty good there. I don't know whether I'll make it a flat piece and bend it like that and put bolts in it or what, but it should be strong enough. Closes it good. Well, I don't know what you see, but no, not enough to open it up. Not sure what's happening here. Well, my linkage is locking up right here. Just go down here to the bolt, and it's not going far enough to flip that out. Probably if I hit it here, it'll work. Yeah. So I need to make a better rod than this, but that, or I could probably turn it around, and that would make it work, because I got plenty of room there on the bottom. Just don't have any on top. I'll try to do that and see if that'll work. Now I just flipped that around. Works good. I'll have to make something that's pretty solid right there. Let's see what it'll. Yep. Good enough. That's really tight. Good enough. I know where my door handle's gonna go, and that's a good amount of movement. So, you know, a 1-inch pivot here is fine. I probably ought to run this bracket here down to the bottom. Give me a little more movement. But basically that's real good. And if I have this on the bottom one, this one here on top will be for the door handle that pulls it straight. So door works good here. The other one, it takes a lot less to open it. I've just got a little piece of copper pipe in there. I'll make the same sort of thing. So anyway, there's Mr. Door Handles. I'll upload this, so appreciate you guys liking it. Tell a friend, subscribe if you will, and next video I'll be making some good permanent linkage there, and mounting these things to the door, and check and make sure my key lock's going to work. I'm sure it will. So thanks a lot, guys. I sure do appreciate you. Bye bye.